Your mind, it is like a gun. And you want to load it up with little itty bitty bullets of knowledge.
Alright family, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Know Yourself Academy. It's your guy Boro, the Lucky Libra, and happy new moon in Scorpio, alright? We got the new moon and the sun still transiting that last deacon of Scorpio, alright? So we got a couple of more days to go before we get up into Sag season. But for the most part, we need to understand the energies we're receiving right now, that we're being influenced right now, moving on to this next moon cycle, because we know new moons, new cycle. Chapter 1 of a new book, okay? Time to set new intentions. Time to make sure your spiritual space is clear and you're not dealing with certain things karmically, certain past retrograde energies, that you took care of some retrograde energies and whatnot, so you can even set the intentions. You can even have the space to move and utilize the resources you want to use. Sometimes the new moons, we can't even set the intentions we want to set because we may have not taken care of business with certain things heading to the new moon. So for the most part, when we talk about the new moon and the sun in Scorpio right now, okay, Scorpio's dealing with our desires, and this whole season we've been influenced to, have a rebirth in our life. Embrace transformation right now. Get hands-on, look in the mirror when it comes to our energies, certain energies, deep feelings and emotions, deep intentions, secrets, ulterior motives that we may keep behind the scenes that people don't know about or whatnot, and seeing what we're doing with them. Seeing where our desires was at. Because, coming into Scorpio season, we had Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, so we was already reflecting and revising and thinking about past desires, all right? Past people, places, and things we were passionate about or have put a lot of emotion into. Water energy. Whenever we're talking about that water energy, we're talking about the past, all right? Water reflects the past, so you got Mercury retrograde in a water sign. This can be heavy sinking into your emotions mentally, all right? Earlier this summer, we had Mercury retrograde in Cancer, all right? So you just felt the emotion of the world at that time. And it felt like the world was generating more because we was all in a state of putting our minds on a lot of that energy at the time. So I feel like we was just growing that as a nation. You feel me? Just growing that as a collective with these type of transits. So when we talk about us being influenced to embrace transformation, us being able to look at our desires, see if they're in positive or negative places or whatnot. A lot of us have encountered past people, places, and things this Scorpio season, that situations we may have been involved in the past that we ain't involved with no more. But these people, places, and things still resemble an idea, a desire that you connected to now. So in some type of situation, the universe be just using past people, places, and things to remind you of things, to see if you have matured out of certain things, to see if you've learned certain things, see if you have discipline when it comes to certain desires, see if you're able to step out your body and be spirit and look at what you got going on in this physical realm. All right, universe can't make you do shit. They only could put you in a situation, experience, for you to weigh your options, for you to see what's going on, for you to learn, for you to embrace something new. All right, embrace something familiar. All right, jump into some North Node energy. All right, the unfamiliar, something scary, something nervous, which ultimately is going to teach you something. Create experience, create experience, create wisdom, and that's how you grow spiritually for the most part. But a lot of us, sometimes when we get to them North Node energies, it start feeling real scary, unfamiliar. We jump back to that South Node energy that makes us comfortable. So we really want to find a balance between these type of situations in our life. But for the most part, we're being influenced, all right, to give birth to something out of a death, to transform something right now. We cannot go into Sag season, all right, being connected to certain desires. We have to, grow a bigger perspective right now, a more enlightened perspective of how we look at our desires, at our passions. You have to be able to see how you've been toxic right now, all right? You have to be able to see how you've been toxic with these type of energies that we've been experiencing at the moment right now. So for the most part, like I said, a lot of people have been able to look in the mirror. Even people may have had outside energies looking in, depending on where you have Scorpio at, where the sun been transiting at, because wherever the sun is transiting at, going to show you an area of life people are going to be able to pick up on, going to be able to kind of see outside looking in. Look at what house your sun is in your chart right now. You may be able to realize, like, yeah, damn, We feeling like this area, like we kind of be out in the open, kind of be in the light or whatnot, in some type of shape or form. So that's why it's nice to have the sun in certain places. You don't have the sun in the first house. You have the sun in the fifth house, all right? So how you personally express yourself, your personality is seen, all right? Personality got some spark, some light to it, some charge to it. We hear you when you in the room. We hear what you're saying. We hear you when you walk in the room. There's a positive, negative, there's a balance to everything, but sun in the fifth house is home there. It's the creation house. So the sun is just in the fifth house, you know, giving light, giving birth to his creative attributes, to his artistic attributes, just playing around in life, seeing what it could create with its light, what it could create with its vision, how it see and feel about things. All right. So for the most part, let's get into these energies transiting the houses, because like I said, these are areas where we're going to be understanding where we have to embrace a transformation, embrace a death in this type of area. Understand that moving past this transit, we got desires checked in this area, all right, where Scorpio is at. Wherever Scorpio is at in our chart, this is already an area that we're dealing with energies that's behind the scenes. If you got your sun, moon, Mercury, Mars, Venus, etc. in the 8th house, all right, you may not have Scorpio in the 8th house, but you know, these planets in the 8th house, these are energies, like I said, people don't be seeing these energies. They behind the scenes. They in the 8th house. The 8th house ain't no light. It's in the dark. All right. So for the most part, these Scorpio energies, we want to see right now what we about to. All right. This death, I mean, this got to be put to death. Like, I done confronted this all Scorpio season. Leading into Scorpio season, I've realized I do have this attachment to this desire, all right, or whatnot. I realize I have been putting heavy emotion into this. This may not be supporting my passions right now, okay? Especially with the new ways I've been able to see how I can act on my passions this Scorpio season. Sun in Scorpio actions, being consciously aware, all right? So, you know, us being able to see these things, now it's time for us to be like, all right, new moon in Scorpio, all right? New way to put feeling and emotion, or direct my feeling and emotion to certain desires and passions. And transiting the houses, we're going to see what areas these are. So, Scorpio in the first house, my Scorpio risings, okay? Where my water? Where my agua at? When we talk about the moon transiting, the moon and the sun transiting the first house, all right, all Scorpio season, you guys been embracing a real personal rebirth this season. For the most part, a lot of y'all been feeling like this Scorpio season, a lot of y'all Scorpio risings been feeling like, all right, that's it. Something new got to go down. Like, I know I'm comfortable personally being behind the scenes, but there is something I want to put to the light. Because the sun transiting in the first house, it love to be in the first house, but Scorpio ain't necessarily about having his personal issues and what it's personally into all out in the open. But this season, with the energies dealing with, you know, transformation and making sure that us understanding the only way we're gonna really bring some new things into this life is by putting some things to death. You guys been looking at a lot of things you've been personally passionate about previously, past couple of months, maybe past couple of years, depending on what you're personally into now. If you don't feel fulfilled with what you're working on now, you may have sunk into deep thought about things you wanted to act on in the past that you realize that emotion ain't go away from. So now, going into this last transit that we have in Scorpio season, you need to make sure, all right, what is it that you gonna make a transformation about with yourself, as far as what emotions or that you're gonna choose to personally direct to something in your personal life. First house, personal life, personal issues. Your personality, how you personally express yourself, is a fire house, okay? So for the most part, you put emotion into the things you personally express. It's why you're not so super expressive as a Scorpio rising, because you're expressing yourself with some type of emotional meaning. So for the most part, you know, when you personally dive into things, you know how passionate and charged up and how dialed in you could be. So let's set that intention. All right, let's make that decision, Scorpio risings, to say, all right, this is what I'm gonna channel my passion into. This is the passion I'm gonna channel my energy into right now. I know this Scorpio season, I've been through enough experiences to kind of gauge how I can personally express myself in a new way and how that could be received. I just gotta deal with the vulnerability of having myself be seen that way, or dealing with whatever type of attention, whatever type of light that's hitting me in my first house for my personality to be seen. Like I tweeted earlier, I tweeted about this energy a little bit, so I just wanted to make a video to go through these houses real quick with more detail. There's only so much I can say in a tweet, but for the most part, I said a lot of you Scorpio risings, this season, a lot of people wanted to see, were kind of like, real inquisitive and curious about what you've been personally working on, what personal projects you've been involved in, what you personally got going on right now. So a lot of that has fueled more of a fire for y'all wanting to feel like y'all got to personally express some new shit, okay? So you got to see all the things that's been soaking up your time personally, okay? That has to be revamped, and let's make sure we're taking care of that so we can set some new intentions and move on some personal passions for the rest of the season the right way. All right, so that's for my Scorpio risings, transiting moon, sun transiting the first house. Now, for my for my Scorpios, not Scorpios, for my Libra risings, Scorpio in the second house. Okay, so for my Libra risings with Scorpio in the second house, y'all know y'all experience opposite energies in every house because for the most part you're a Libra rising. So your chart start with Libra in the first house. You got Aries in the seventh house, so they're already opposite. So now you got opposites in all areas of life. So it sounds negative, but for the most part, a lot of y'all are learning a whole lot than other people than learning. It's more so about how you're choosing to apply, how rapidly you're learning with all these opposite energies in areas of life. You got to learn and care about things with Cancer and career. All right, instead of just working on something and not feeling fulfilled because you don't really care about nothing career. And then in the home, you gotta work on the home. It ain't gonna be no care in the home with Capricorn in the home. Though you a Libra rising, so you personally don't mind relating and expressing your passions and relating them to others, but the seventh house in Aries be teaching you like, yo, you gotta keep some of that shit to your goddamn self and work on that your damn self. Start relating all your personal issues and what you got going on personally, having your personality so open sometimes and so sociable and relatable with Aries in the seventh house. And Aries in the seventh house, you might be a little too aggressive dealing with one-on-one relationships and confrontation and whatnot. So it's like you're learning a lot, all right? It's more about how you choose to apply it and not feel like, either a victim, feel like something's wrong with you. Nah, you just incarnated here. You don't have that type of structured chart to understand things from that type of perspective, angle-wise, with these signs and these constellations. So when we talk about Scorpio in the second house, a lot of the time with Scorpio here, you can end up putting a lot of emotion, water, into the material things, all right, into the bag, okay? And you can start to lose or even neglect, understanding that you're not looking at the deeper things to life besides what you could generate on the physical plane. The second house dealing with, is an earth house, physical resources, monetary gains, okay? How we build structure and stability through our values, our value system, our self-esteem, okay? So I always say we want to be in a career that reflects our values, okay? So with Scorpio here, you're passionate and you could build heavy desires for that sense of stability to the point you could get content with that at times because you felt you already done put so much emotion there. So we want to make sure with the moon transiting the second house that you're not caught up in a state of not realizing how much energy you are putting into certain material things, how you're not able to look behind the grain and see how your true passions is even aligning with career, seeing what transitions you have to make, seeing if you're in a career right now that you don't align with your sense of creativity, with your passions, seeing how you're about to set a new intention to start transiting out of that if you haven't already started thinking about that during this season, because that's the influence you've been catching, all right? Are you aware of your values? Do you know if your values is in a healthy a place or not? Okay, universe, let me put some this universe talking to y'all. Let me put some people, places, and things in that second house that connect into some of your values so you can start really seeing and feeling if your values is in the right place. So you've experienced this the whole Scorpio season. It's up to you to make the right adjustment, whether it's with the people that you may have valued, the career you value or not that you may be in right now, all right? And look at these things and try to understand how you gotta take some energy out of that value, because that shit ain't some shit that should be having that much energy. Take some energy out of that value, out of that person, out of that idea, out of that concept, out of that insecurity, okay? And let's put them in the right places, aka let's plant the right seeds. So the new moon transit in second house is a powerful transit because the moon loves being here. Okay, but for the most part, if you're not knowing what you want to give a depth to, you may just have a catastrophic transformation in this area. See, we all experiencing transformation right now. It's more so about, is you gonna take the esoteric step ahead to plant that seed and kind of embrace that transformation and give and put effort, giving depth to something, or is that shit gonna get transformed spiritually? Is the universe gonna have to just handle the job? And universe don't care about making that shit feel good. It got to make you feel a certain way for you to understand, for you to learn. All right. So we don't want to deal with these super catastrophic moments, especially where everything is going on, where we seeing how these energies been affecting the world recently. Okay. So let's make sure we check them values. All right. Values, and seeing how much desires we have when it comes to material things that's just in the physical realm, possessions, things, how we may be looking at people as things as well with Scorpio in that house. So, this is what you guys want to understand. Check the value system. Scorpio in the third house. All right, Virgo risings. So with Scorpio in the third house, a lot of you Virgo risings be experiencing a whole lot of shit in y'all familiar surroundings, y'all local neighborhood, a lot of shit with y'all siblings, a lot of shit that transformed y'all in those areas. Dealing with your local neighborhood, friends growing up in school, your relatives, siblings, seeing siblings and relatives lie, manipulate, use ulterior motives against each other. So it just be having your mind feeling like you got to be more structured and organized and more tedious with how you be relating to people, Virgo risings. All right. So for the most part, with the sun transit here, you've been able to grow your awareness about your relationships, about maybe how you should deal with relating, communicating to others, especially when it comes to your passion. Whether you be communicating too much of your passions, you be relating too much, feeling a little vulnerable, putting yourself out there to get taken advantage of, or have some certain energy thrown at you in some type of way, all right? Which, when you have energy thrown at you, you could use that however you want to use that for the most part, all right? Free energy, but, in the sense that you receiving opposing type energy based off how you related. So now you feel like you can't be relating your passions like that, all right? For the most part, you also got to make sure you're seeing where your desires have been in this area. What desires, people, places, and things you've been relating to, all right? What forms of communication that you realize that it was Scorpio in that third house. You may have been influenced to kind of connect to some shared values in that air house dealing with people, relationships. So a lot of you Virgo rise and start, being influenced to be real strategic about how y'all deal with people, based off what shared values y'all can have, and then y'all start aligning bad desires with things for career. So you want to be careful of that. But guys, you want to make sure with the moon transit in here, you want to make sure moving on from this point, you're conscious about how you're relating your passions. You're conscious about, the people that's involved in your passions, and the relationships you've been putting heavy emotion to that may not be reflecting, okay, the effort you be putting into, all right? May not be reflecting, the relationship you trying to build. Third house, once again, rules siblings, relatives, all right? There's more relatives in the fourth house, but, we have the emphasis of siblings and distant cousins in the third house. Our familiar surroundings. Okay, our local environment, people, places, and things that's immediate to us. So, a lot of the times, these people could have been the same people that Scorpio in the third house, you've been blaming for certain things depending on you not being able to connect to certain desires or whatnot. So you want to be careful if you've been the toxic one when it comes to your friends and your siblings and relatives as well. And we got to put depth to that. We got to put depth to that to understand there got to be a new way that we communicate more righteously when it's dealing with our passions. And we can't be influenced to be falling on the negative scale of that Scorpio in the third house, being manipulative, or only trying to connect based off of certain shared values and keeping a persona up with the, fixing your emotions a certain way to keeping a persona that y'all guys could just, connect so you could utilize what you need to utilize. You don't want to be falling on so much of that scale, because that's like so much energy you could build up that could end up, energy got to get released, expressed, pushed out some type of shape or form. So when you building something with somebody, no matter how mundane or, casual you think a relationship is, it depends about how much time is put into that. That energy gotta go somewhere. So that's why a lot of relationships have bad endings, bad crashes, because they were being indulged into, you know, not in a conscious state, not really understanding that you were really, you know, being involved in a lot of each other's time and creating things by being with each other. But that's, you know, that's that. But for the most part, this is what y'all want to be careful of in the third house. You know, be more conscious about how you're moving with your friends. Especially you got your friends, some friends that have been taking advantage of you. Friends that only be, you know, leaning on you for certain things when they need you. But, you know, you be feeling vulnerable to even reach out to them because you feel like that they may not even pick up your call or reciprocate the energy you be giving them. So this is the things that you want to make sure you're analyzing, observing. You Virgo rising, y'all good at that. All right. And making sure you put in some depth to, so you can have a new way of relating, communicating that's protecting your passions and helping you to keep your desires in a more healthier place. All right. Now, moon, sun transit in the 4th house. All right. There's been a real emphasis during this season on your private space. You've been really trying to get into your private space, and it may have been an invasion of space at times and whatnot, especially with, you know, because the sun in the 4th house is a private house. This is the house that we deal with how we create emotional stability, you know, how we deal with our feelings and emotions, but in a state of creating them, how we create that inner peace within ourselves. And the first ways we do that is by even relating to our motherly energy, so relating to our parents, our family members, all right, dealing with our family matters and domestic issues in the home environment. So with the sun here, there's already been things making you pay attention more to family, and you've probably been more so trying to focus in on your solitude, trying to dive into your own feelings and emotions, because this is a water house. We're already dealing with a water season. So you having Scorpio here, you go through a lot of transformations, you Leo risings, go through a lot of transformations, rebirths, ego deaths in the 4th house, and dealing with family matters, domestic issues already. A lot of y'all Leo rising, step out the house, y'all be the shit, come inside, it be shit y'all gotta deal with that be transforming y'all, all right? Make you think about how you even personally expressing yourself out there, why it's not even received in some of the same ways, all right? So this season is more so seeing, you know, what grudges and how you may have been toxic this season, and you want to make sure you evolve out of that, no matter how you may have been manipulated, lied to, or kind of been negatively treated, if not, or abused or whatnot in your family home environment. You don't want to keep so much of that energy to the point every time you dive into your state of privacy and solitude, you can't even enjoy privacy and solitude based on how much that has been built up and not released there, all right? So you want to make sure you're in a space where you're being a bigger person in your family home situation. You're treating solitude like it's high priority, because you understand that's what's going to be needed for you to even focus on certain things you want to focus in your lifetime. I mean, when it comes to your passions, period. This is why the new moon's transiting your 4th house. This is the energy you're supposed to be resetting and understanding. If I don't even have my emotional stability right, how am I going to even be able to do anything dealing with my passions? So I am going to have to give depth to certain feelings and emotions, or ideas and concepts that I may have about my family or my loved ones or people, places, and things that I care about, all right, that may be in a grudge type energy, that may be actually be holding me back, and I got to learn to release from that, give birth to that, so I can sprout some new energy in the space that make me comfortable, all right? So that's the new moon in Scorpio trans in the 4th house, 5th house, all right? Now, you know, Scorpio is for my Cancer risings, okay? Scorpio loves to be, not loves to be here, excuse me. The sun loved to be here. The sun loved to be here. The sun home here, okay? But for the most part, you know, Scorpio don't like to be here, okay? So a lot of Cancer rising, you guys deal with the vulnerability of, you know, creatively expressing yourself, but knowing that you put so much emotion and some things that you may have real life experience in the past that ended up cultivating the creativity for your creative expression, but you deal with the vulnerability of actually putting that out there, actually expressing that for other people to see and critique and judge and do whatever, because that'd be some sacred energy, but it came out in an entertaining way. It came out in a creative way, in an artistic way, but it's connected to some real shit. All right, so for the most part, it's like with Scorpios, Scorpio in this constellation is uncomfortable here because Scorpio like being behind the scenes, all right, dealing with the feelings, the emotions, fixed feelings, emotions, but it's in the light here. So that's the energies you Cancer risings be dealing with, but you get more of a grasp on that when you start dealing with just pushing out your creativity, you know, seeing the results of that, experimenting with your creative and artistic attributes, and then you start learning like, okay, I can connect with others sometimes based off the way I creatively express myself. People be experiencing this shit too, all right? A lot of your relationships and people that you relate to, yeah, Cancer rising be helping you how to understand people do relate to, do experience some of the things. We all experience some of the same shit, all right? But for the most part, with the moon transiting here, there's gonna be a sense to have a rebirth to how you creatively express yourself. A lot of y'all definitely have been reflecting and revising into creative things y'all been doing in the past, whether it was a passion you really wanted to push before, or whether it was a passion you really wanted to push before, or in some type of shape or form, all right, there's something now that you feel like you got to creatively get into, or you feel like the things that you're involved in right now, all right, it can trickle into like career or whatever personal endeavors, but you feel like these things in general need a creative spark. You feel like you need to give an overall creative spark to a lot of things, and you feel like the way you've been probably personally expressing yourself in some type of shape or form ain't doing what it got to do. So that's how you know you're more so, you know, in a space where you may be somewhat unfulfilled in some type of area, or still dealing with some karmic lessons leading up into this energy where you feel like, you know, damn, like I don't even know exactly what it is I want to creatively get into, because this season was, the sun was beaming on that. The sun is home here, but the sun is making you is making you pay attention to everything that you keep deep, passions, past previous intentions, desires, negative or positive, and seeing which one of these shits is going to get creatively expressed, artistically expressed. So at this point, you should have a grasp on how you going to formulate a past, you know, feeling emotion, deep feeling emotion, intention that you wanted to you know, push out, a past passion you wanted to creatively express. You guys at this point should have a feeling of how you want to move on this, all right? You should have a feeling of what people, places, and things hinder your creative processes, all right? Are not supportive of the things that you creatively into. Those got to get nipped in the bud right now, all right, during this new moon. So your creative space, all right, how you dive into forms of entertainment or even have fun to stimulate your creative space, all right, can even be in a healthy position. But certain desires got to be killed there. Sometimes with Scorpio here, you may have a desire to connect to a person, place, or thing that can help you with maybe in a creative endeavor that you have a lot of emotion into with Scorpio here. So you got to be careful what you choose to do and who you choose to align with, because y'all be knowing, but y'all just be feeling like y'all could sometimes just utilize it, transform it, and not have blood on your hands, which a lot of us just think we could do that in this world, and we end up understanding that, damn, I shouldn't haven't even aligned with that person in the first place. Like, damn, I should have checked my desires with that one thing. I should have just, it was gonna come to me anyways. I didn't even have to go the far mile and dealing with this shiesty ass person because they was a motherfucking manager for this record label, and I wanted to get signed here because I had so much emotion into my music. As a Cancer rising Scorpio in the 5th house, so I just related to this nigga, whatever, boom, 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 to help me get from point A to B. And now this motherfucker was stealing money from me all this time when I blew up over these 3-4 years and whatnot. Like shit just be crazy, going through a lot of ulterior motives, secrets, hidden agendas when it comes to your creative space. But that shit, a lot of the transformation that comes with how you envision the world, or how you envision how you want to express yourself, a lot of that stimulates, you know, what you're doing creatively. So it's like it goes hand in hand with the debilitation of Scorpio in there, but what could be sprouted out of there. A lot of Cancer risings, you guys could rise to a phoenix with your creative expression, depending on how you choose to move through the feelings and emotions and learn from the feelings and emotions, all right? So it's deep for y'all, all right? Now, 6th house, we know 6th house deal with day-to-day routine, how we schedule and organize, all right, how we work on the value that we planted in the 2nd house, all right, how we see that grow, how we see the details to it, and how we may have to deal with some health and fitness after all that work we be putting in and scheduling on that regimen or whatnot. So with Scorpio here right now, you guys are real charged up about your day-to-day routine, and if you in a situation, if you came into Scorpio season in a situation not really feeling your day-to-day routine, all right, not having a day day-to-day routine that's supporting your passions, not filling your workplace, because the workplace also falls into the 6th house because that's a part of your day-to-day routine. But overall is what you're working on. All right, so you like if you felt these type of ways heading into Scorpio season, then the whole Scorpio season you was just seeing new ways of how you may be able to transition out of that, new ways how you may be able to develop a new type of routine to deal with your passions. You also been coming into the season, Mercury retrograde and Scorpio and all that, you may have also been seeing people, places, and things that have been, in the way of the desired routine that you need in order to manifest some passions in that 6th house. So for the most part, because the 6th house shows you the energy you need to keep the engine that you need is the engine for your career, is what you're working on. So whatever your 6th house, wherever that 6th house Lord is at, you need to make sure you know where that's at, because that's the energy that's going to help you keep career in motion, help you to see what to revise, reflect on, and sharpen and craft to make sure your spiritual career here is always floating in a harmonious way among your energies. It's not to say that just because you're doing things the way you're doing it in your chart, you're not going to have struggles, you're not going to have lessons, you're not going to have some sort of resistance, you're not going to have to learn some things, you're not going to have ups and downs. No, we just saying that you're going to deal with way less of that than you would deal with trying to do things other people ways. So when you understand your house lords, when you understand, what squares and oppositions you have, aka what lessons, so it's like, okay, I know if I just stay consciously aware of these lessons, boom, 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 it's going to help me to grow. I may not pass them every test, but it's going to help me to at least give me a direction of where to grow, make growth here, all right? When I understand my north node here, when it's like, all right, I'm doing things in my energy. I'm not trying to figure shit out from the external realm, all right? How other people do shit. I'm not wasting my time doing things how other people do shit. I know what I'm here to be doing. I know who I am. Okay? So for the most part, Scorpio in the 6th house, y'all real charged up right now when it comes to y'all day-to-day routine career and what y'all working on. But it's more so was y'all being super overwhelmed in y'all workplace and the frustration with y'all working on because y'all not meeting y'all passions, or y'all in a state where it's like shit, y'all done put the pedal to the metal with y'all day-to-day routine and y'all getting from A to B with a career. So it's one or the other. But for the most part, you want to understand what needs to be given depth to that don't support your day-to-day routine, that you desire, that gonna help your passions, that gonna help you career-wise, that gonna help you build structure and stability. What desires you've been connecting to, person, place, or thing that be fucking routine up. What joint you be messing with on the weekend. You always, it don't matter what you doing, all right? Shorty call you over there, wasting time, all right? Just draining energy, okay? Ladies, all right? Y'all dealing with some dudes that's just, you feel me? The sex great or whatever, but damn, like you drop everything in your schedule for this. So you just there now. You just there, you feel me? And then you feel kind of unfilled, kind of a little empty when you to yourself, because we give ourselves up to other people, places, and things that play out as desires sometimes, to the point we put so much emotion to this. It's like then when we get back to our true energy, we feeling all empty and unfulfilled and drained and shit. It's like shit, damn. I gotta realize how much emotion I do be putting into things, because maybe if I push it into myself, I could enjoy what is in the external realm while always feeling whole. All right. A lot of us be enjoying our pleasures and overindulging into desires, and it's like you can't even enjoy some of the things that you can experience here, without not even 100%, because like you just not whole. Like it's like you skip certain personal development process just to feel something real quick. All right. Instant gratification. And I'm not perfect, and a lot of us, we all here for a reason, all right, to learn these things. But it's the conscious effort to understand and be able to look yourself in the mirror. To be able to look yourself in the mirror during these transits and at least be able to step out your body as a spirit and be like, damn, I'm caught up as a human right now to this shit, but fuck it, this is what I'm here for. Let me go to sleep, and tomorrow's a new day to deal with this. It's another thing, so I respect that, but it's another thing to just brush it off, act like it's all cool, act like, you content with not, trying to evolve out of some lower energies, at least trying to have these things, on your mind, not to the point it's overwhelming you, but to the point it's in the forefront and not something you just keep brushing to the back. So that's the energies for the 6th house. All right, 7th house. Scorpio in the 7th house. You guys have been experiencing transformation, all right? May have picked up on a lot of ulterior motives, secrets, and hidden agendas about people in your one-on-one relationships and your partners. You may have been the toxic one in a relationship that have been exposed right now with the sun transit in your 7th house. So now you're in a state of trying to refixate some feelings and emotions to see how you're about to deal with this situation, especially if it's a situation you're passionate about, but some hidden agendas got exposed, maybe some red flags got exposed or something. So vice versa, whether it's you or your partner, this is a state where you got to see how to give depth to a way you've been relating to others, to maybe a toxic way you've been relating to others, to maybe a desire that you've been, connecting to a lot of others on a one-on-one level, or relationships that have been supporting some non-healthy desires that you got right now with the sun and moon transiting that house. This whole season was showing you which relationships is healthy or not. If your relationship is toxic or not. If your relationship was toxic and you ain't know, you know now. If not, it's smooth sailings. You feel me? But for the most part, I can't even say anything is smooth sailings right now because, it's just been a lot of transformation. It's been like the shifts, it's like the shift got multiplied times 55 during Scorpio season, you feel me? So it's like we gotta really be on our spiritual, esoteric P's and Q's moving into Sag season and during this new moon energy, and understand what we doing now that we may not realize we subconsciously putting energies into for the new moon that's gonna linger in to other energies. So that's another reason why it's important to understand when new moons are. You don't know what you be doing in them 2 days. Maybe putting some heavy emotion in them 2 days and not realizing why your next 2 weeks feeling and looking the way it is. In that new moon energy with the time to detach and release from some shit to set some new intentions to get you out of the energy, but you ended up multiplying that energy. Because not only did you take care of karmic lessons, you actually was in that energy, sinking into some negative energy you don't spiritually want to be in during that new moon. So it like, family, this shit be just that deep. It be that deep. But when we talk about the Scorpio in the 7th house, yes, the season you saw if you were toxic, your relationship was toxic. You was able to pick up on hidden agendas, ulterior motives, whether positive or negative, in some of your one-on-one relationships. And you also was able to become more consciously aware about how to relate your passions in a one-on-one level, all right? How to do it more wisely. Maybe you've been taking advantage of some energies, emotions that you related to others in a one-on-one level, and you was feeling the vulnerability this season, and you realized your gut instinct was right in a way where you should have probably paced yourself or kept certain energies to yourself. But if you've been experiencing any of these energies, you want to understand this new moon. You want to be highly aware about who's in that inner circle that you connect to on a one-on-one level that, is in a space of your passions or is in a space of supporting fucked up negative desires. All right? Got to be able to see that right now. And this is the place where it can get very toxic. It's another air house, but one-on-one relationships. But we already know this is there's also an emphasis on intimate romantic relationships here. We got Venus here, so mixing Scorpio up. You already having Scorpio in the 7th house, all right, as a Taurus rising, y'all get transformed a lot in relationships, all right? Y'all get transformed. A lot of y'all relationships be behind the scenes, okay? And y'all be practically trying to analyze who to connect to a lot in y'all personal life, but for the most part, Scorpio be there, influence you to connect some more emotion, put some more deeper emotion into your relationships, and then y'all be trying to control when y'all could do it and when y'all want to and whatnot, and having to deal with some transformations to learn you can't pick and choose. Taurus rising, you got to learn to connect the feelings and emotions. All right, you got to learn to value that with somebody else. It can't just be all practical. It can't be all about what we could build, resources, whatnot. So this is what you want to be paying attention to, Taurus risings or Scorpio in the 7th house. If you're not a Taurus rising and degrees or whatnot didn't make it to that house or whatnot, all right, this is what you want to be understanding. And a lot of y'all really was influenced to really put certain relationships to depth, like some of y'all was in toxic relationships that was just been toxic and like all hell done broke loose even more this Scorpio season. So if you really wasn't able to, if that wasn't the red flag, then it's like, oh man, I don't know what's about to happen with this next transit if you don't really jump out your body to see what desire you've created in this relationship to make you even not be able to see that this is some shit you shouldn't be in right now. You learned your lesson. You took what you needed from this experience right now already, all right? Let's not create any more catastrophic moments. So, Scorpio in the 8th house, all right? Scorpio in the 8th house. Now, I don't know why I just be chilling, y'all. I just be chilling any other day, Libra. I be talking a lot, whatever. Well, I don't be talking a lot all the time because I be to myself a lot, y'all. But I be talking a lot. I don't know. It's not until I get on camera I talk a lot, I be getting the cotton mouth. Like, I love battle rap. I probably drink so much water that during my rounds. But Scorpio in the 8th house, all right, my Aries rises. So with Scorpio in the 8th house, all right, you already influenced to keep your deep passions and goals and intentions to yourself. You only really be relating those things to people in that inner circle, right? Or people that you feel like really match your frequency vibration. It's like, what am I relating it to you if you don't even, you ain't gonna get it. I'm an Aries. I'm personally ahead. Like, I'm on the go. So with Scorpio in the 8th house, you already influenced to set long-term intentions on your passions, goals, and desires. It was more so about knowing how to jump in and out that pocket, knowing when to execute, knowing when you honing in on a passion, too long, or all right, this is enough energy. Boom, let me execute. Let me get more practical about how I fixate that. I mean, not practical, but, let me see how I get more action-oriented about a feeling emotion I held in, or let me see when to hone in. But for the most part, y'all really get it. Y'all understand how to keep that long-term focus there. So, with the moon transiting here, for the most part, you guys just been overall experiencing, seeing what desires y'all been connecting to behind the scenes that don't nobody be knowing about. All right, people, places, and things in that 8th house don't nobody be knowing about, and what that 8th house represent. All right, what is the 8th house? We know is the house that gave birth to Scorpio, but originally the frequency vibration of the 8th house is dealing with occult and esoteric like energies, aka knowledge and wisdom that's behind the scenes. Knowledge and wisdom has to be, passed down to you wisely. All right, might transform your ass if you're not ready for it. It's dealing with mysticism. That's communication non-verbally, which we do all the time with close relatives, close people we have insiders with or whatnot. Then we have, all right, ulterior motives, secrets. We got monsters, scary shit in the 8th house. Ain't no light in the 8th house. You gotta feel your way out in the 8th house, all right? You gotta learn to move with a blindfold in the 8th house. So for the most part, certain planets, when they up in it, they're like, God damn, like shit. You feel me? When the sun is in there, it's lighting up. Some of the this season been lighting up certain things behind the scenes about your deep passions and goals. Like you've been kind of reflecting, revising on shit on your own. Like, damn, I ain't know that there was a time I used to have a real deep desire for that, and I realized I don't really be like adding fire to that fuel no more. You feel me? So you're thinking about if you want to recharge that passion back up. For the most part. So a lot of past people, places, and things this Scorpio season has been giving you new ideas on how to move on certain things, especially with the sun in the 8th house, because it's like a flashlight in a cave. So it's like, oh shit, you do get awarenesses about certain things. It's hard for you to feel like it's hard for you to feel like you see everything because it's just a flashlight, just an awareness in the big ass 8th house. But for the most part, you guys feel like you got an intuition on things you could do to either, what desires to subtract, to connect to some previous passions or a new passion, or reorganize, reformulate this creativity that you're throwing into the things that you're passionately involved in right now. Okay, so we want to make sure with the moon transiting here, that's the thing, the moon is already uncomfortable in Scorpio. All right, so we all uncomfortable under the energy. We all uncomfortable under this energy in some type of shape or form, looking at some of our passions and deep desires. But for the most part, the moon is uncomfortable in Scorpio in the 8th house. So transiting here, you could be feeling heavy energies, just reflecting and revising right now on deep passions, goals, and desires, and feeling like you really have to be in the push out mode right now. It's like you're done sinking in right now. You really feel like you want to push out a passion, but you got to make sure before you push out one of these passions, whether old or new, that the things that's the negative desires in that 8th house, you at least know where they at. You know they in positive or negative places in that 8th house. All right, you making sure you're not putting emotion or connecting to others right now to connect to certain desires before you start working on some new passions, because we got to resolve that situation or make sure you're conscious about what substance you may have created in one of these situations. 8th house represents shared values. All right, so those are the things you want to keep in mind with the 8th house. 9th house. All right, we know the 9th house, house of enlightenment. Okay, we're dealing with broader philosophy, bigger perspective, spirituality, religion. All right, travel, whether physically or in the mind, okay, or within, internally. So with Scorpio here, having Scorpio here, you already be placed in a lot of experiences that make you learn about how to move behind the scenes, and make you learn that other people do move behind the scenes, and you can't take everything from face value. All right, you experience a lot of rebirths when it comes to your ways of philosophically looking at things with Scorpio in that 9th house, and you're influenced to learn more about that esoteric occult like knowledge and wisdom that you're not gonna get in school. That your parents probably don't be into it. Your friends gonna look at you crazy if you start talking about it. Whatever, might be a little taboo, might be some black magic, might be some voodoo. All right, might be some things you learn about ancestors and deities, whatever. So that, like, Scorpio, the 9th house, that's a mystic constellation in the mystic house. So it's like all them energies, it's really influenced you to be a deep diver with spirituality. All right, be a deep diver, making sense of meaning, finding meanings and reasonings to certain experiences in your life. So when you have Scorpio here right now, you're feeling like you really need to create some new experiences to support your passions. You feel like you've been learning a lot and extracting a lot of wisdom based on the past people, places, and things that you've been encountering in Scorpio season, or the overall new awarenesses with the sun transit in the 9th house that's been bringing here. Because like I said, this is the house of enlightenment. So with the sun transiting here, this whole Scorpio season, you were building broader awarenesses about certain things, whether it was desires, realizing that they were in positive or negative places, or realizing that you wasn't pushing out certain passions that you learned about, that you have set intentions on pushing out after you done learned about them from certain experiences in the 9th house. So all them energies, understanding these things, now you're in a state of seeing what concepts you need to evolve from, you need to grow from, you need to give a birth from, and apply in order to have the right conscious moving on your passions and goals, and making sure your desires are not in a negative place. The 9th house is always teaching you and always placing you in experiences. So whatever energies you got in that 9th house, you're gonna be experiencing a lot of energies there, period. Like, you're just gonna be placing a lot of experience there. You got Libra in the 9th house, you're gonna be experiencing a lot with relationships. Like, you literally gonna know a lot of people in this lifetime. You got Aries in the 9th house. Oh, you're gonna learn to be expressive of your passions. You're gonna learn to be expressive of your passions and how to deal with that energy and put it into something in this lifetime. All right, you got Pisces in that 9th house. Oh, you're gonna learn how to relate your broader outlooks on how you deal with the emotions or your imagination and your dreams, and learn how to connect that at times in this physical reality. All right, and you're gonna learn how to understand things about the subconscious, and how the relationship between your dreams and the physical reality. Like, you're gonna learn whatever's in that 9th house. All right, best believe it. You're being placed in a lot of experiences in that area. All right, period. So that's what we're dealing with in the 9th, his house. Right, moving on to the 10th, his house. When we talk about the 10th house, y'all, this house, Earth house, this is the house that we're dealing with creating our social status. All right, this is how we broadcast it to the world. This is how people see us, and this is how we create stability and a foundation, and some legs to stand on in this lifetime, a support system based off how we're known. How can we create stability off these things? How can we take care of responsibilities based off these things? All right, how do we build a legacy here in the 10th house? All right, so when we talk about Scorpio here, you're already real passionate about career, how you get from point A to B. At times you could be more comfortable with your social status and what you're working on and career behind the scenes, as long as you connect into your certain passions, depending on what your sun, moon, and your alignments are and whatnot. But with having Scorpio here, Mars is already exalted here, and Scorpio is a lot of emotion coming into your social status and what you're trying to do to get from point A to B in career. But it also ruled by Mars, so just having that influence there, it's like a dialed in long-term focus for Scorpios in that 10th house. All right, it's for my Aquarius risings. So when you have the sun here this Scorpio season, you guys been influenced on new ways that you could broadcast yourself, new ways that you could broadcast your passions, new ways that you could put your goals out and have that attached to your social status, so people can understand, your new passion, your new creative attribute, or the new thing you want to creatively express to the world or whatnot. Like, you understand how to get that attached to your social status in some type of way. You grew an awareness of how to do these things, and these things reflect to career. You grew an awareness about how to add things into career, okay? But it came from you having to get in touch with certain people, places, and things to see certain things. May have been some past people, places, and things to make you understand what was the desire that was in the front of your the desired career or desired social status that you want, have, or a new desire that a new form of social status that you want to develop now, a new way of broadcasting yourself now to the world. All right, so 10th house, we have to see what things there isn't supporting, how we're working on things, what we're doing career-wise in that 10th house, what is adding a negative stain to our social status and our reputation at this point. The sun transiting here, this whole Scorpio season, you've been able to see a perspective of how people see your career. Sometimes we don't be really knowing how people see us career-wise or how people see our social status, especially for a lot of us freelancers, entrepreneurs, and whatnot. But this season, you was kind of in some type of shape or form, whether it was how people spoke to you or certain responses, or just in some type of shape or form, you was able to see how people see your social status. And you was like, oh, okay, that's how people see me. So it gave you a perspective of how you want to work on your social status, how you want to express your passions right now, how you want to attach something you creatively into that you people thought you was into or something, or maybe, and you realizing it's not or whatnot. You done grew an awareness about all these things. So now it's to see what to detach from, what you're gonna have to give a rebirth from, so you can move more effectively and strategically when it comes to your passions being aligned in career area, with your passions being aligned with your social status. All right, now 11th house, Scorpio in the 11th house. All right, we know this is the house of the unknown and unfamiliar. This is how we conduct ourselves in the public arena, how we just communicate and relate in the outside world. All right, this is the house of abstract thoughts and how we connect to the collective consciousness intellectually. So when we talk about the 11th house, Scorpio here, this is a person that's very passionate and puts a lot of emotion into certain relationships, especially group endeavors, especially when they're very channeled and focused and dialed into networking, passions, goals, and desires, real pinpointed when it comes to who they want to connect to, relate with, can be real strategic about these things with Scorpio in the 11th house. So right now you want to see what relationships you have that you may have been connecting to just for some desires, for some shared resources, for some desires, shared resources, to get just from point A to B, to connect to your desires or whatnot in that 11th house. Is these genuine relationships, or these relationships that could blow up in your face because you've been toxic in that 11th house, Scorpio sun transit in 11th house? This house may have brought the start of the Scorpio season. You was having a lot of ideas of certain relationships you may have wanted to stimulate, but even though this is an air house and air house is dealing with people, this is the unknown and unfamiliar. So for the most part, you was thinking about ways to introduce or broadcast yourself or involve yourself in an environment, or trying to get a passion or something that you've been putting a lot of emotion to connect it to maybe an unfamiliar, unknown place, to maybe gain some new traction, to get something from point A to B, something you're working on with people to get from point A to B. A new awareness on how to work on a group passion or whatnot. So you just want to be very conscious of your relationships and how you may think you're utilizing people right now in your life to get from point A to B. Understand how people may be utilizing you, how people may be manipulating you for certain resources with that sun transit in the 11th house, because this is the unknown and unfamiliar. But with the sun transit here, it was shedding light on these relationships that you may have met with no mutual background, with people that you don't have familiar background, but you guys are exchanging resources at the moment. All right, new friends, not new friends, but new people you have met, new associates. All right, you've been growing awareness about all of these things. Okay, 11th house also rules social media and technology. So when it comes to your passions, all right, in some type of shape or form, the sun here has been trying to show you how to utilize, this everything that's been presented in this new shift with technology to get your passion from point A to B. Okay, how to connect to some people in the unknown and unfamiliar through those methods. All right, so that's the energy, but you want to make sure you cutting off people that don't support your passions, people that you may be involved with, working with, relating to, associates, whatever that you're working on ain't matching your energy. Do you have to go solo dolo on something right now? All right, these are the things you want to understand with the having to make these rebirths and transformations with the new moon in the 11th house. Okay, but keep that social media and technology on in the back of your head, especially if you in the midst of dealing with marketing, branding for some of your passions, trying to get these things out there into the external realm. And last but not least, 12th house. All right, when we talk about the 12th house, this is the house of the subconscious, of our dreams, our imagination, all right, our faith, beliefs, our intuition. All right, so when you have Scorpio here, you're a person that has a lot of emotions for things in their imagination, but at times you deal with insecurities because you influence to transform certain concepts. So sometimes you may be transforming certain concepts that you want to push out to the world, but you transform it so much you don't get to push it out to the world. So your creative source is crazy, but you may lack the experience depending on your sun, moon, whatever, based on how much experiences you try to push out your imagination and cultivate it. Maybe you put so much emotion with Scorpio in the 12th house, you hone in on these things a little too much, and it stay in the esoteric realm. It just stay a thought. It stay floating. It just stay an idea. So here, it's been a major crave because the 12th house is, I like to say the 5th house is your creative expression. I like to say the 12th house is your creative source, where the creative expression even comes from. So when you have Scorpio in the 12th house, the sun transit here, the sun season, the Scorpio season, you've been influenced to give birth to a new form of creative expression. But it's like the sun been shedding a light on a lot of past things in your imagination, past passions and all of that. So it's almost like it was like a overload of creative stimulation here, an overload of ideas, imagination floating. But just because them juices was flowing don't mean you don't have to, it doesn't mean that, it doesn't negate the fact that you still have to take action on implementing your imagination and your dreams here, and find a way to align your passion and your dreams here, instead of just sinking into the emotion of it. All right, with that Scorpio in the 12th house, maybe Scorpio ascendants as well. All right, you definitely want to understand that. You got water in the water house, so you can sink into a lot of emotions. Once again, water deals with the past. All right, so definitely is a lot of creative things from the past to pull out of there, especially with all the transformations you make and insecurities you might build with certain past things you wanted to push out your imagination. But during this season, there was a lot of awareness thrown at the things that you may not have expressed out your imagination that you was passionate about in the past, and new ways you can implement these things now. It's more so about detaching and releasing from all the insecure ideas that you may have developed that halted these things. All right. Some of us just place, insecurities, just place, negative results on things for our imagination before we even implemented it into the world. And then people just, look at our creative attributes and just think we the greatest of all time at what we did. And we was over here about to not put that song out. About to not start that YouTube channel, about to not, start selling our art, about to not, So this is the type of energy with the sun transit in the 12th house. It's like, yo, what have you been implementing from your imagination that you really, really care about, but you haven't been doing it? Like, what's going on? All right. Your dreams, you may even have had real vivid dreams lately that have, resembled certain things you place a lot of emotion on in the past as well. And these things in the subconscious, especially if you're a person that dream recalls very well, whatnot, you have a really good sleep cycle and whatnot, you may have had real vivid dreams to remind you of some of these things with Scorpio in the 12th house. So we want to make sure we're action orientated with our creative source and all them juicy ideas and things floating in that imagination. If the sun and the new moon in that 12th house, all right, the moon like being in them water houses, the 4th house, the 12th house, all right, the 8th house is a struggle. I ain't gonna lie, 8th house is a struggle, but for the most part, that 4th house home, and when again, like in that 12th house, get to deal with vibrations that like that vibrations, that time motion, all right, you know, get to deal with the feelings and emotions, get to deal with connecting some of that, all right. Right now, you being influenced to connect to your imagination. You being influenced to be one with that motherfucker. All right? Be an example of your imagination here and not float in it esoterically. We got to figure out what people, places, and things, concepts, ideas that's not supporting you being action orientated and expressing and reacting to your dreams and imagination in this lifetime. All right, family? So, for the most part, thank you for tuning in, all right? Like, share, subscribe, and all that. I'll be going live this week, all right? I want to start going live way more often on this channel. Got to finish the Mercury series and get into other series. I don't know why I said it like that. Sound like I'm talking about the asteroid series. Shout out to series, all right? But anyways, man, thank you for tuning in. I'ma holla at y'all. Peace.